What if it rained food? What if Earth was a cube? What if we had 9 lives? What if bits could fly? It's absurd. If money grew on trees, if we didn't have knees, if we walked through life slightly magnetical, it's absurd. Absurd Hypotheticals.
Hello everybody and welcome to Absurd Hypotheticals, the show we overthink dumb questions so you don't have to. I'm your host Marcus Lehner, and I'm joined here today by Chris Yee and Ben Storms. Say hi, guys.
Hey, I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Ben.
Also, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Love is in the air. Just this one day, which is the one out of 365. All the other days are loveless and barren and desolate, but today there is love in the air. And in that theme, Ben, we got stuff to talk about because you got married.
I did get married.
And for real this time, not just like legally.
Yeah, we've said you've been getting married for like a few months.
Well, no, hold on. Wait. To be fair, I technically for real got married back in September. I had a wedding.
Was the wedding, a little bit at the town hall?
I mean, it is still, you can't say...
You still, suited up and, did stuff.
Yeah, you also can't say married for real this time, because I literally got married for real already. If anything, the married for real was the first one.
Well, I wasn't there the first one, so the first one doesn't count.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris, I didn't invite you. It felt kind of awkward after I didn't invite you.
I've only seen you, once.
Right, it was one of those weird things where I've talked to you more than a lot of people who I invited to the wedding, but I haven't actually seen you in person more than the one time.
I don't know if people... we mentioned it on the show before, but...
We mentioned it before.
Yeah, Ben and I have only met once in real life.
Yeah, and it was like...
And it was before the podcast started, and you live in the same fucking city. You live literally 10 minutes away from each other.
Unfortunately, we're both very lazy.
We're gonna celebrate this weekend. No, you're away, Chris.
I'm away
Damn
this
it, it
weekend.
always happens.
We're lazy and busy, which is a really awkward combination.
It's wedding time. Wedding talk, Ben.
Yes.
Wedding
Is
talk.
that it about your wedding?
I don't know, we're going to talk more about wedding. Marcus was there. He gave a speech. It was good.
I was there. I think the thing relevant for our podcast that happened was that I think for both your vows and for my speech, doing the podcast definitely was like a transferable skill.
Yes. It was. So actually, I don't know if I told you this at the time. So we did a videographer for our wedding. And as part of the video, he likes to have us, have both the bride and the groom record their vows ahead of time. So we can, use those as, voiceover. So there was a point where, actually, I guess, you knew because you were there when I went away to do it, I guess. But, they, put me in a room and gave me a recorder and told me to record my vows. And I was like, well, I've been trained for this for, a couple of years now. And I still fuck it up, 4 times before I got it right.
Oh god, I can't imagine how awkward that is because there's so much going on that you haven't done yet. None of the stress is gone because this was before the ceremony and everything. This was at the part the hour or two before the ceremony where everything's people doing the last minute things, but you as the groom are useless, so you kind of just get shuffled away into a corner. But they decide to put you in a room and then make you record the thing you're probably most stressed about, as far as something that you have to do, except the dance. You're more stressed about the dance.
I actually think I was more stressed about the vows.
Yeah, I think I would be more stressed about the vows.
I felt pretty good going into the dance, actually. We practiced the dance more than I practiced my vows, not gonna lie.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't have had time to practice your vows, Ben. You wrote them midnight the night before.
Well, yeah, that's true. I finished them midnight the night before. I was writing them most of the day before.
It's okay. I finished my speech 10 a.m. the morning of.
Just like you do this show.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. I was I have plenty of time. I had
Yeah.
hours before I needed to actually do anything or, be done with it. And in my good old-fashioned senses, I printed out my my speech notes on physical paper like I do for the podcast. Yeah, but I think it was just me and you, Ben, that really, could tell when either of us switches into our podcast
voice?
quote-unquote
Yeah.
voice. And it's something that it's so subtle I can't actually identify exactly what's different about it. It's just that when you started talking, I'm like, oh, he's in podcast mode. It's great.
It was also really funny how I heard from multiple of my family members who have listened to the podcast where it was they were pretty sure they knew who you were, and then as soon as you laughed, they were like, oh yeah, that's Marcus.
Yeah, I feel like my voice as a person is inconsistent. I guess
Your voice as a person.
My talking voice, I feel is more inconsistent than other people's.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's fair.
I feel like I go a lot higher and lower and just around meanderingly that I don't need to do.
The waveform of your laugh is also very distinct.
The laugh is quite distinct.
Yeah, the laugh, the waveform already looks like really spiky compared to ours. Like sharp spikes.
It doesn't help that I do my weird nose laugh all the time. It's just like a little bubbling on the...
Yeah, those are more round.
Yeah. They get smoothed out by the noise cancellation.
Oh my god, Ben, your nose laughing when it's just your audio that I'm listening to is the worst.
Honestly,
because it's just like...
I cut out like maybe 50% of them.
God, thank God.
It is really funny though, because you're just like you're trying to focus on editing, not that I do a lot of editing, but I was focusing on editing this on when Chris had his ankle broken, and just there was just it would be like silence for the other stuff because I'm focusing on your audio track, and then you just hear like that.
I've already...
And it's just so disturbing in an otherwise quiet room.
I've been trying to do it less, and now I'm so self-conscious about it. I'm like plugging my nose when I go to laugh.
You'll never fix it. You'll never fix it.
Anyway.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to get through today, actually, because we're doing something a little different with this episode. So this is going to be, and we should have some more of these coming up, but it's going to be what we're going to call a grab bag episode. First time I can mess up saying it.
Not a grab dab. We don't want to dab.
A grab dab. And so for our grab bag episode, rather than all of us tackling one big hypothetical question, we all did some research on one question each. So we're going to have 3 different hypothetical questions that we explored this week.
And they're all themed around Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and they're all themed around Valentine's Day. We had a bunch that we liked, but none of them we felt were, I don't know, quote unquote, big enough for us all to cover it. For us all to have 3 different answers that wouldn't be kind of samey. So we decided to just do 3 of them.
We didn't want to throw them into a lightning round either because we actually wanted to do research on them.
Yeah, we need to look stuff up. So I'm pretty excited for this. If this one goes well, we'll probably see other themes for these types of questions going forward in the podcast. But I think we should just dive right in and see, because I am worried about time. All right, so I'm going first. The question I covered is, what if candy hearts were the only form of communication? So candy hearts, everyone knows, little chalky, I guess chalk hearts that have little sayings on them. You get them on Valentine's Day for candy.
In my opinion, they are gross.
They are not pleasant to eat. Also, in my opinion, for how I did it, only the Necco company, the sweethearts, count as the official candy hearts for communication, because screw all the other knockoffs. Like, if Hershey's is trying to get on the game, get out of here, Hershey's. You may not tread on this turf, because Necco's been going for well over 100 years, which is actually just kind of crazy that the candy heart's been going on that long. I saw some old photos of the first candy hearts, and they got embroidered designs and angels drawn on them. It's actually crazy.
I don't understand how Necco wafers ever got popular.
No one does.
Well, there were a lot less candy options back in 1900.
You actually use them to clean your horse's teeth, and the candy thing kind of just happened naturally, accidentally. Fun fact.
Is that?
It's not true. No,
yeah, I can tell if that's real or not. I was like, that might be real.
I'm like, I didn't come across it, but I would believe it.
But the fact that both of you paused for a second says a lot about Necco wafers.
All right. So first things first, first the base level thing is are there enough phrases on these candy hearts to just use the phrases on the cards to communicate, and that you'll just generally have a heart to express your ideas? No, not really. Just off the, it's not, you can have thousands and thousands of candy hearts of different sentences or phrases that you could say, and I don't think you'll be able to get every idea that you need to get across.
Do you know how many phrases there are?
Secondly, I do not.
Okay.
So what I cannot believe is that on the whole of the internet, there is no archive for every phrase on a candy heart. The only reason I have any archive phrases is thanks to a Reader's Digest article of sweethearts over the last 10 years. So I have the phrases from 1998 to 2009, and no other phrases are stored anywhere on the internet at all.
So how many were in that time frame?
So basically what they do is they'll pick a theme and do a dozen or so new phrases, and then probably 15 new phrases, and then they have kiss me, love you, they have 10 basic ones, so 25 altogether, but 15 new ones each year.
Okay.
Except for 2019.
Oh.
So, unbeknownst to me, Necco Candy Hearts is done. They got bought out. They went bankrupt. They got bought out.
I actually knew that.
They stopped production for the holidays for last holiday season. So 2019, you could get knockoff brand candy hearts, but you could not get actual sweethearts. And I don't know if they'll be around this year either.
Yeah, I thought I remember someone bought them and they're bringing them back, kind of like with Twinkies.
Yeah, so they'll come back just because the name has enough recognition that it's worth someone else doing it. But I found that kind of interesting. Anyhow, the first thing I looked at was, if we can't use the phrases, can we use the letters on the candy hearts? So I was like, are you gonna find the weird letters? So the least used letters in English are Q, X, and Z, according to a quick Google search and letter Scrabble scores. And in just the 1998 to 2009 archive that I found, I did find all these letters. I found Q in URAQT, which is actually, I like that one a lot. That's good. That's a good candy
That's
heart.
a quality one.
Can I guess, is X in like XOXO or something?
No, actually. So XOXO might be one of the base ones. I'm not sure because I don't have that specific lists. But the only one I found it on is from 1998 in their Tech World series in Fax Me.
Wow.
And then we have Z over in, I forget the theme, but it was Whiz Kid.
What?
Whiz Kid.
What are these themes they're coming out with?
Whiz Kid?
So the themes, yeah, there's the themes are kind of like messed up. Like a Menu of Love is one. So there's like Top Chef, Honey Bun. So Honey Bun's pretty good.
Honey Bun's
Yeah,
not bad.
that one's a good one.
Yeah, the menu one's not bad. There's like, Sweet Love, Yum Yum, all good. Love's in the Forecast is kind of cool. But like Heat Wave and like Wildlife don't really do it. Nature Lover? Oh no, that's not a good Valentine's Day one. Yeah, Animal Attraction, Home and Family, The Game of Love, Happily Ever After, Love Lessons, Fashion Forward, Limitless Love, Celebrating the Millennium, Now and then High Tech Hearts was 1998 with the Fax Me, and also www.cupid. Not .com, just ends at www.cupid because nothing else fits on a candy heart.
Wait, so which category was WizKid in?
WizKid was in Love Lessons because it was school themed.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
So yeah, can you imagine getting a candy heart that just says schoolmate?
That is like the worst way to get friend zoned.
Or worse, pen pal.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I found all the letters. Numbers, I had a little less luck. So 0, 1, and 2 was an easy start because there was one that was just Love 2001. Don't know why they made that one, but there. So I have 2, 0, and 1 right off that. In the Happily Ever After one, we had 3 wishes. 4 was the easiest one. There's a million 4s. Recipe for love, this for that, anything for anything. After 4, I got basically 0. There was one that was just 1-800-CUPID, so I got an 8. But I do not have a 5, 6, 7, or 9.
Do you have any plus signs?
Oh, actually, I might.
Ooh.
Oh.
I know I got a number symbol. I have a dash. I have a period from www.cupid. I have a comma here in You Go Girl. I have an apostrophe, dash. I don't have a plus sign.
You can use the dash as a minus and get from 8 to 7 and 6.
You can use the X as a multiplier. And then a minus. Use the dash as a minus. You can get there.
Yeah, I can go like 2 times 2 times 4 minus 4 minus 3 to get to 9. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that number works out.
Good though.
There is kind of a problem here though, because we need to use these letters to communicate, and you would have to get them off the candy heart, which you could do with like one of those like little like carving things, like those little U-shaped knives, but they're pretty small and chalky, and it's kind of time consuming. And this is our only way to communicate, so you're gonna need to be a little faster. So rather than use the phrases on the candy hearts, we could also do a lettering system using the color scheme. So there are 6 colors of candy heart: red, blue, orange, pink, purple, yellow. So if we pair two colors together, it gives us 36 possible combinations of color pairs. So for example, red could be A, red blue could be B, and everyone will have to learn this system, but you can get all the letters this way.
That's clever. And you can get all the numbers, too.
Yeah, so it leaves with 10 extra 2-color combinations for either the numbers or maybe some basic punctuation and those math symbols that we were missing out on. But we could do even better with the letters, I think. Because we could use both color and orientation. So if we can spin the single heart in, say, the 4 cardinal directions, and you have 6 colors, we have a total of 24 single heart combinations for letters. Now, you may notice that there are 26 letters in the English alphabet, but we can actually deal with that. I think we just don't need all the letters. And it might sound crazy, but this is not actually the first time letters have been removed from the English alphabet. And actually, not even close to the first time. There have been, as far as I can tell, for main examples, there have been 12 letters removed from the English language. There was thorn, win, yah, ash, eth. Ampersand used to be a letter, like, taught in the alphabet.
Wait, what?
So ampersand was in the alphabet. It actually just means and, of course. And the reason it's called ampersand is so they had the alphabet song, and then at the end after Z, so it's like W, X, Y, Z, and per se, and.
Oh.
And so kind of like and was by itself after, so you'd write it out, and after the end would be like the and symbol, and per se, comma anything is kind of like, and all by itself over here is just the and, because per se kind of was like a separator in the commentating.
That's a really dumb origin for ampersand.
Yeah, and so and per se and sounds like ampersand, and so in our infinite wisdom we have just called the letter that used to be called and ampersand because we fucked up the lyrics.
It's like Elemento is going to be a letter someday.
Right. So essentially what we're saying is that it's called ampersand because kids are dumb?
Yep.
Nice.
There was also the insular G. There was that, which was like ampersand, but for the word that.
Was it just a T in a circle?
No, it was actually the other abandoned letter thorn with a cross on it, because thorn stood for the TH sound.
So thorn didn't already have a cross on it?
No, thorn didn't already have a cross on it. It was kind of like take a P, like capital P, and move the bubble bit down to halfway was what the thorn looked like.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Okay.
Funnily, another interesting fact here, because there's a lot of fun facts with these things. All the signs, like ye old tavern, the Y is actually originally a thorn. And what happened is in Gothic lettering, thorn and Y look very similar, and thorn was less popular, so a lot of like type setters didn't have the thorn, so they would just use a Y instead. And it was understood then that Y meant thorn. So all the ye old taverns, no one called it ye old tavern. They called it the old tavern. But over time, they replaced the TH letter with a Y, and then it became ye old.
Well, that's upsetting.
That's a better origin than ampersand.
I mean, it is, but still, I'm sad about the loss of my... Well, I guess the loss of ye's is a little personal to Chris, but, you know what I mean. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost... The stupidest origin is actually win. So win was what made the W sound before W existed. And so they had a letter... Like, they had a W there. But then win wasn't very popular. And so... when they didn't have the win letter, what they did was they used two U's to represent the same sound, which at that time U's were written like V's. So if you put two V's together and they're very close, it looks like a W.
Right.
So win literally went out of, like, became obsolete because no one wanted to use it, and just replaced it with two, U's, which were V's, which then later just fused back into a new letter W.
I did always think it was weird that W was like the only letter that was based on the name of a different letter.
Yeah, and that's literally why, it is just called W, because it was just two, it was just two U's put together.
Right, when they could have just come up with a different name.
And then I have a couple other ones. Ethel on the long S, which is that one that kind of looks like an F, that makes the S sound. That apparently just got tacked on to, like, the end of words that became plural with some, like, a bunch of grammar rules about which S's to use or use them in combination, but they didn't change how the word sounded, so they're like, we don't need this. And then eng, which is like an NG sound for words like king or ring or stuff like that.
See, those letters make more sense than the letter K. I feel like K is the next letter to go.
Yeah, that's the first one. So we need to remove two letters. What are the two letters that we can remove? So our two candidates are C or K. So mostly because C is actually the one that's redundant with K and S. Because C either makes a soft S sound or a hard K sound. The only reason to keep C over K is the unique sound to C is when you combine it with an H for a CH sound.
Right. A K doesn't have any combos.
Right, exactly. So K doesn't have any combo. C has one combo. If it didn't have the combo, I actually like K over C. But thanks to CHs everywhere, we'll keep the C. Because that would also fix a lot of our stupid spelling if it was just the C, if it was just K or S instead of C's, which could be either. But we'll get rid of K. Second one is Q, actually. So Q obviously is one of the rare letters anyway. But Q really just makes the one sound. And you can replace that with KW, or in our case, CW, because we just got rid of K. But you can do that without really any real issues. Like, you need to spell quick, it's just CWICK. Like, it's, or CWIC.
You really don't want to get rid of that K.
I don't know, man. I want the K sound. Like I said, I was voting for K, getting rid of C over K if I could, but the stupid CH sound ruined me. And then Q has other sounds, like mid-word Q, like in Baroque. But you can just replace that with whatever letters it should have fucking been in the first place.
Right.
Like, if it doesn't not making a Q sound, it could be different letters anyway. So we can do that. So we can get rid of those two letters, and then we can use just one heart for one letter in just different orientations, which I think is concise enough to actually, write something out in hearts on short notice. And it saves you the hassle of having to find specific phrases, because imagine like you have to go through 1,000 candy hearts to find the one that says 1-800-FACTS. So you can like get it going. We still have not a slight issue with numbers. Numbers are more complicated, but we can use like a combination system of some sort to represent numbers. I was a little worried on like really big numbers, like millions and trillions, because there's so many combinations, and if you're doing something like binary, you might need a lot of space. But we have like 6 colors, and once we get past single hearts, we can just use like pairs or triplets or some other system to get the numbers going. I'm not sure what the best is for.
You could just spell out the number.
I hate that. That's a lot of candy hearts. Like, just the word 100 is going to take you like a minute to spell.
Well, I mean, if the number gets big enough, then it might be worth it.
Yeah, maybe. I guess we could just do what we do with our numbers. Like, if it gets crazy big, we just write it out. But we have letters, we got numbers. We can figure something out for symbols, I'm sure. The other tricky thing is how we actually use the candy hearts to communicate. Like, if I want to send someone, if I'm talking to, like, quote unquote, talking to somebody because I can't talk to them anymore. Like, what does that interaction look like? So for written words, I think you can pretty easily make a candy heart typewriter. All you need is like a sticky-ish piece of paper, and then you just have like 6 hearts of different colors and arms that can kind of, turn them in what you need, and you can just literally slap them onto a piece of paper so that they stick. And then you can type out that way.
You might need to like wet them or something.
Yeah, whether it needs to be wet or the paper needs to be like, have like some sticky stuff on it, or you have like honeybees make, put honey on the paper to stick them on, whatever you need to do. So you can do that with a typewriter for written word. Talking person to person is a little more complicated because you don't want to bring around a typewriter. Also, you'd probably go through a lot of candy hearts that way. So my thought is kind of a decoder ring style tube with like spaces for letters, like kind of like a Wheel of Fortune board that you can spin around, and you could like spin the first slot to be like, okay, there's a blue one here, and I'm going to turn it left to represent E, and the next one will be red, then I'm going to turn this way to do that. And you can kind of just like turn and flip this thing around until you have your words spelled out on your tube. That make any sense how I explained it?
Maybe.
Sort of.
Like there are circles within circles, and you spin them to line them up, to line up the inner circles with the outer circles.
Like a master lock, like a padlock that has a spinny, like each number spins individually, like a bike lock. Only it's the 6 colors of candy hearts, and you can turn them into the right orientation.
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, in my head it's a 2 because that would be easier to carry around, but regardless, it's not super important. I fixed it.
You said like Wheel of Fortune wheel or something, so I was thinking of a giant wheel.
oh no, sorry. Yeah, that was a bad pull. So then the next question is, what we're allowed to do on digital communications. Like, can you use are the candy hearts emojis on your phone? Because that's probably the easiest one.
I feel like that's not. I feel like that's cheating.
Yes, that might be cheating. So I mean, that one could just be out. In which case, we can't transmit any digital data anymore.
But take pictures of arrays of candy hearts.
Yeah, you can take pictures of them.
I guess pictures could count. The other complicated thing that comes up is kind of like books, where if you're putting candy hearts in a book, your pages get pretty thick, and it's pretty hard to make books when the papers aren't, paper thin.
I mean, you have your typewriter thing. Why doesn't that work?
Because it's still sticking candy hearts onto a piece of paper.
Oh, I thought your typewriter was like you're sticking the powdery part of it, and it's not like the actual candy heart is on it, but like parts of it are on it, and like the color stains.
Like it sticks some debris on.
So it like basically, so if the candy heart is like wet or something, then it stains the paper that color in a certain direction.
I think that doesn't quite. I don't think you're allowed to quite do that. I think it has to be the physical candy heart that is the thing you're looking at.
Okay.
And that kind of just runs into the next question, where does the powder count? Like if you crush one up into fine powder, can you use that to like draw pictures? Can you make art with candy heart dust?
I guess, yeah, where's the line? Because crushing into powder, I would say doesn't count, but then you could just use whole candy hearts to draw pictures. I would say that counts.
Yeah. But I think you can get away with books too, is if you go back to the carving out the letters method. So I think like slow communication, like books and like instructions and things and more permanent things, can be with the original letters off the candy hearts and be small. But like, day-to-day communication would be with just the big hearts. And you'd have like two letter systems in play, kind of. But that's what the last thing I looked at was the making of candy hearts to see if we could make enough of them. So candy hearts are made out of sugar, corn syrup, cornstarch, flavors, gums, and colors. But the flavors, gums, and colors, of course, are not in any crazy high quantity compared to the sugary bits.
Right.
So I had remembered vaguely somewhere hearing that sugar production was like kind of like not in a great spot in the world. Like we're like using a lot more sugar than that, than we should be based on our resources. And so I was Googling that a bit. And so prominent American food companies, including Kraft, General Mills, and Hershey, have warned the Department of Agriculture there's a deficit in the sugar supply and that we could virtually run out in the near future. Now, what's great about this is that you can take this with a grain of salt, or I guess a spoonful of sugar, because what they really want to do is they want to import more sugar on the cheap. Sugar is actually one of the most highly regulated commodities in the U.S., and by law, 85% of our sugar has to be grown domestically, and they have really high taxes on any foreign sugars, or they just don't let it in anymore because they want us to produce our own sugar. And based on the actual numbers, there really is no sugar shortage. It's literally just Kraft, General Mills, and Hershey trying to make a fake crisis so that they can get discounted supplies. So we should be okay, which I think is my conclusion for everything. We should be all right. We can do it if we had to do this.
It's a pretty intricate system to communicate. I like it.
I spent a lot of time thinking about it, more than I would like to admit.
I like the idea that you don't actually use the phrases.
Yeah, that was driving me nuts. I was losing my mind how that was going to work. Chris, why don't you hop on yours, because I think I just spent half the episodes talking about candy hearts.
Okay, so my question that I answered for Valentine's Day is, what if couples always had to hold hands?
Ooh.
So if you're in a relationship with someone, you always have to hold their hand. You can never let go. Now, obviously, this poses a few issues.
The Titanic would never end.
The Titanic would never end.
Jesus.
It would end. They would just both die.
Or both survive. I don't know. Keep going.
One of the two. So the first thing I was looking at is that your hand that you're using to hold the other person's hand is basically useless for like doing stuff. So you're two people, but collectively you basically only have two hands between the two of you. So you have to kind of coordinate and do things together, and it's going to be hard to get used to. And there's obviously a lot of stuff that like requires you to use two hands. So I wanted to see if there's like possible to actually coordinate this and like do normal things like this. And I started looking at examples of other things, and I came across Abby and Brittany Hansel. So they're conjoined twins. So they both of their spines like split off into two. So they're like, there's two heads, obviously. They each have a heart. So there's two hearts. And then there's two sets of lungs. So 4 lungs, but the middle, like the left lung of one of them and the right lung of one of them, they're like sort of fused together a little bit. And then the whole bottom half is just one body.
God, conjoined twins are like such a crazy, like, I'm gonna call it just like a miracle of life that they can like function like people. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So specifically these twins, like most conjoined twins, they die at a pretty young age. Just they have like heart conditions and stuff like that. But these twins are actually still alive today, and they're 29 years old right now. So, and they teach 5th grade math right now. So obviously they're able to like learn how to do things and live a normal life. So people have been wondering like how their brains actually work, because like each of them has control of one arm. So one of them controls the left arm, one of them controls the right arm. And they also said that one of them controls one leg and the other one controls one leg. But they like they're able to walk normal. They're able to like ride a bike. They can play baseball. They can swim. They can tie knots. So they have like intricate, like precise movements with their hands. And they're actually able to like type an email without verbally talking to each other. They just like kind of know what they're going to say. So it's,
whoa.
Yeah, they have some sort of link between them, but it's sort of like unknown. They haven't really done many tests on them to like respect their privacy. So the medical field, they're like, obviously this is like a unique thing, but they don't really know anything about it. But this is just like an example of this type of coordination being possible. Now, obviously, if you're holding someone's hand, you might not have the same type of link that these conjoined twins do. But I think over time, because these twins have kind of lived with it over like their entire life, so they've learned how to do these things, I think you could eventually do this with your romantic partner as well. You could learn how to do it.
Plus, you're spending a lot more time together.
Yeah. So I think the coordination is possible. So I want to look at some other difficulties in your life that you'd run into. The first thing that I thought was just kind of funny was getting into a car. I don't know how you'd do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, okay, hold on.
I mean, you could do it eventually. You could have someone climb over the middle, but it'd be awkward.
Yeah.
Those old cars with the bench front seat are going to get a lot more marketable.
I think that's just what cars, like that's how cars are now. They all have the bench front seat.
Yeah, they'd probably redesign cars if the world was like this.
Yeah.
I don't even really, I guess you just have a bench in the front.
Yeah.
And then like Marcus said, you'd be together all the time. You'd always have to be in the same place. And I think a result of this, you would like basically one person would have to quit their job if you get into a relationship with them, because I don't think you can really handle 2 jobs, which means you'd only be living off of one salary, which could be an issue depending on what your job is. So this financial burden combined with the lack of privacy, because obviously you're not going to have privacy if you're with them all the time, I feel like it's going to strain relationships a lot more, and people will break up a lot more often just so they don't have to hold hands.
Right, just for convenience.
Yeah.
Or like scratch their butt. Just like, oh God, are you breaking up with me? Oh wait, shit.
I mean, they have another hand. They have 2 hands.
You know, sometimes you just really gotta get up there, Chris.
Okay. So I didn't want to end my answer on just people breaking up. So I want to look at more positive aspects of holding hands. And humans actually seek out human touch. So there's a thing called palmar grasp reflex, and it's when infants just have an instinct to grab a human hand or a human finger. So if you put your hand next to an infant, they'll squeeze it.
No, I thought it was just because they liked me.
Well, they do kind of like you. They just like they like to squeeze things. They like the human touch.
Oh, they're just grabbing any little finger sausage. I don't babies.
And then twins are actually known to hold hands in the womb, which I thought was a cool fact.
Aww.
Yeah, it's adorable. So in adults, there's actually a thing, I don't know how scientific this term is, but they call it skin hunger.
It's not, spoilers, it's not scientific.
Well, it came up multiple times, and that was the phrase they used, so I don't know. Especially if you don't have human touch, then what happens to you if you're just isolated from people and you never touch another human? And this can actually cause developmental issues in children. And in adults, it can cause like mental and emotional issues like depression, anxiety. So when you do encounter human touch, what happens in your brain is that you get a release of oxytocin, which is also known as the love hormone or the cuddle hormone. And this increases feelings of trust, generosity, and compassion. And then it also decreases feelings of fear and anxiety. So like your heart rate goes down, your blood pressure goes down, and you just feel like more relaxed in general. So they actually did a study, neuroscientists did a study in the University of Virginia, or I don't know where they did it, but they're neuroscientists from the University of Virginia and the University of Wisconsin. And what the study was that they like threatened people with electric shocks. And in some of the cases, they had someone like holding their hand. In other cases, they didn't. In other cases, they just had someone else in the room with them. And what they found was that if they were by themselves, they would be really stressed out. If someone was in the room, they'd be less stressed out. And if they're holding their hand, there'd be some stress, but they wouldn't be as stressed out. And they're like actually able to cope with the pain and discomfort easier. And then there's a similar study in University of Colorado where they also threatened electrically induced pain. And they found that when people were holding hands, their breathing and their heart rate and their brain waves synced up with each other. And it like lessened the pain of the experience.
Huh. That's some good magical feel-goods in here.
Yeah, I know. So holding hands has some positives to it. But I wanted to see what happens. Oh, yeah. I missed the fact that it lowers cortisol, too, which is a stress hormone.
I feel like you said that.
Did I say that?
Yeah, I don't think you said cortisol, but you said lower stress a bunch.
Right. Well, it decreases cortisol, which reduces stress. But I wanted to see what happens if too much oxytocin is released and if too little cortisol is in your body, what that does to your body.
If you're too chill.
Yeah. So there's another study in Concordia Center for Research in Human Development, and they found that too much oxytocin causes oversensitivity of emotions. So like your reactions to subtle emotions are like really exaggerated, and it can lead to overreacting to things. So like if you see someone react to their chair being uncomfortable, you can think that they think you hate them or something.
If they're overreacting their chair, it means their chair is probably made out of human skin.
Sure. So that's one of the downsides to too much oxytocin. Now, too little cortisol in your body can also be a bad thing. So the role of cortisol actually helps maintain blood pressure and like other cardiovascular functions. It can help slow the immune system inflammatory response. It can help balance the effects of insulin in breaking down sugar for energy. And it can help regulate the metabolism of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So if you don't have a lot of cortisol, there's actually a disease that has low cortisol, and it's called Addison's disease, where your adrenal glands don't produce enough cortisol. And the symptoms of Addison's disease are fatigue, muscle weakness, loss of appetite, weight loss, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, low blood pressure, dizziness, fainting, depression, and your skin can change pigments.
Yay, Pepto-Bismol!
So obviously these are all pretty bad. Now, I don't know if holding hands, like there's no studies on the long-term effects of holding hands if the lowered cortisol and heightened oxytocin are like long-term, if that's sustained. If they're not, then you'll be fine. But I feel like they might be. And if they are, I'm going to say that they are.
As much as you say you didn't want to shatter all the feel-goods that we're having for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any, like, there are no studies on it. And I don't want to tell people to do it if there's potential threats. So don't hold hands forever.
Release each other every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard in this situation because that means you have to break up with them.
Well, right.
Well, you can just like do quick breakups, like just break up, like almost jump in front of the train to get that cortisol real up, and then just like immediately hold hands again. Just give yourself bursts of adrenaline, like get spooked.
I don't know if that counts as a breakup, but yeah. I guess that was the end of my answer. Don't hold hands forever. Ben, what'd you do?
So I looked into what if the New York City subway was replaced with tunnels of love, or a tunnel of love. I don't know. There's a lot of subway. It's multiple tunnels. You get the idea. So I guess first question, what actually is a tunnel of love? Because important question for you guys. Have you ever actually seen a tunnel of love?
In the movies.
But like in real life?
Well, they're usually at like carnivals and stuff. I haven't been to that many carnivals.
I don't think I've been to a carnival big enough to have a water feature like that.
So apparently they don't really exist anymore. And even back in like where we all think of seeing them for the most part is, yeah, it's like cartoons and stuff always use them. You know, ones made like the 50s and 60s. But even in the 50s and 60s, apparently they were already like on the way out. Because really the reason that Tunnels of Love is what I'm gonna say. I don't care. The reason that Tunnels of Love exists is they really were a like late 19th century thing. Because you couldn't really do the same like PDA that you could, you know, in the mid 20th century. So Tunnels of Love gave like, you know, young couples an excuse to like, you know, get close to each other and stuff, basically. That's kind of why they came into existence. But then as, you know, life changed and it became less scandalous to like hug someone in public, they didn't really need them anymore and they kind of went away. But for whatever reason, they stayed popular in like media, which I thought was kind of fascinating that like in one of the articles I was reading, they had clips from shows that had it. And like there was an episode of Hey Arnold, which is from 1996.
I was just thinking Hey Arnold.
Yeah, right. So there's that one. And then there's a Simpsons episode from like the 2000s where they're on a tunnel of love, which is like there are almost no tunnels of love at this point left in the US. But it's just for whatever reason has persisted in media. But disregarding that, there are still some, so we can still, you know, still make our subway into a tunnel of love. So the subway we picked, the New York City subway, we picked a tough one. By number of stations, it's the largest rapid transit system in the world with 472 stations.
Jeez, that's more than I expected.
Yeah.
And I live there.
Right, yeah. It's the busiest rapid transit system in the Western Hemisphere, and 7th busiest subway system in the world. The numbers I saw were from 2016. There were 1.757 billion rides in 2016, averaging, it was like 5.7 million every day on weekdays, and then it combined to like 5.9 total over the weekends or something. So very, very busy subway we have to replace with small boats. So how fast do these small boats go? Because these don't really exist anymore, I couldn't actually find a good like reference for how fast the boats go. I tried. I found some like YouTube videos of people taking video of tunnels of love as they went through them. I tried to like figure it out from that.
And they look like they go pretty slow.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out from that. So I found the next best thing, which was the closest parallel we have really right now are It's a Small World and Pirates of the Caribbean. So It's a Small World is about 2 miles per hour. Pirates of the Caribbean is about 3, so we're going to say about 2.5. Also, while looking those up, I found 2 very upsetting facts for myself. First, did you know that apparently Johnny Depp was nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars for Pirates of the Caribbean in 2004?
Maybe.
Was the first one good?
Yeah, I think the first one was actually recognized by people as being good.
The first one was like, it was a good, but like when I think of like, man, what are some great acting performances of like the decade? I don't think Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's because it was a really over the top
right?
performance.
Like,
it was like different.
Like that doesn't feel, I don't know.
I feel like Johnny Depp like invented that whole genre of drunk pirate.
Kind of, but I don't know. It still felt very strange to me that he was nominated for an Oscar. I don't know.
I feel like his role is a lot more interesting because it was the first one in that kind of pirate attitude.
I think it's a lot weirder that Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for Tropic Thunder.
Wait, did that actually happen?
Guys, we got a podcast to do. Let's do this.
Hold on, but back up a second. Did that actually happen? Hold on. Because I don't know if that's a joke or not. I can't remember.
He was nominated for an Oscar. It was the same year as Heath Ledger.
How? I'm going to look this up later because I refuse to admit to believe this. But anyway, I'm saying fact number 2. How long would you guys say the ride It's a Small World lasts?
It's a pretty long song.
Well, the song only has 2 verses with a chorus between each of them.
I've never been on it.
I've been on it before, but it was a long time ago.
Based on other like rides like that I've been on,
I'm gonna say 4 minutes.
I was gonna say 4 minutes too.
So there are 5 different versions of the ride at different Disney parks. The shortest one is 10.5. The longest is 14.
Whoa!
It plays the
song.
That's
a lot of.
It plays the song the entire time. I think that's technically a war crime. Like, that's
Yowzas.
Yeah. So
It's supposed to be a small world,
right. I did also hear that apparently the original plan was that all the different countries would sing their own national anthems, but they were all just playing at the same time, and it was just audio hell. So they audibled into a very annoying song. So it actually could have been worse.
Wow.
It could have just been every national anthem.
Well, I don't need to do that ride. Well, now I actually have to do that ride just for the
I'm
experience.
surprised you've never been on it.
I've never been to Disney World.
Really?
You've never been to Disney World? What about Disneyland?
None of them.
What?
No Disney parks for me. I've been to Legoland. That one was cool.
Disney is way cooler.
Yeah, you should go to a Disney at some point. They're good.
I'm subscribed to Disney Plus. It's like the same shit.
Yeah, you get the idea. All right. Anyway, let's get a frame of reference for our Love Boat subway system. So, according to the MTA, the longest one station to another trip you can take is from Howard Beach JFK Airport to Broad Channel Station. It's about 3.5 miles, and it takes about 7 minutes on the subway. That works out to 30 miles per hour. So if we look back at our estimated tunnel of Love boat speed, that's 2.5 miles per hour to go 3.5 miles, which works out to 84 minutes.
Oh no.
Minutes.
Silver lining, that is the runtime of Borat. So I know what you can do every commute, every day.
Your one-stop commute.
Yeah. So yeah, the subway is roughly 12 times faster than our boats. So that's kind of a problem. Additionally, we also have a pretty obvious capacity issue. The capacity of subway cars, the subway cars vary, but the R160 car that the MTA uses, that's the newest one they have, holds around 280 people. A Tunnel of Love boat obviously only holds 2. So we're going to need a lot more boats than we have subway cars. Right now, there are 6,418 subway cars in use by the MTA, which would mean that to keep the same availability, we would need 898,520 boats.
I mean, they basically just be, all the boats would just be in a row.
Yeah.
It'd just be like are they swans? Or are they...
They're frequently swans, but not necessarily.
So just be a bunch of swans in a snake formation.
Yeah, I don't know how you store them all.
I don't think you have time to store them then.
I guess
think
they're just
you have to
always
keep them
going,
running.
huh?
It's just constantly going.
Yeah, I'm actually a little sad now that I didn't figure out... something I should have done was figure out the length of the New York City subway system, which I know I saw, and then see, roughly how long one of those swan boats is, and see if it's literally long enough to store them all. I had not checked that. It may not be, actually, because that's a lot of boats.
I'm also going to throw this fact in for context. The average human walking speed is 3.1 miles an hour.
Yes. So it would actually be slower than walking. Which, yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. Because your commute's also going to be, really awkward. I was trying to figure out what it would actually, be like to do this. But the insanely slow speed honestly made it, I figured it would be at least, a little faster than walking. But I think the real answer is just that if we replaced the subway with a Tunnel of Love, no one would use the subway. That's the answer. Just full stop.
Could you set up a system where you can walk forward across the swans so that it's kind of like one of those moving
a moving walkway
in an airport?
Maybe. So the other possibility is that, the speed of the subway train was roughly 30 miles per hour. That is also approximately the cruising speed of a lot of speedboats. So admittedly, that would increase the cost of our system a little bit. But if you really were all in on this boat subway plan and the whole swan part wasn't super important to you, you could roughly make it work. And I think pontoon boats were a little bit slower, but you at least get more people in then. So you could kind of fudge it. It could work.
You can go on the Tunnel of Love where you just have to kiss one person on your commute. Or you can get on the, like, orgy boat where you can get more people fit, but there's a lot more action going around.
Right. So yeah, I mean, honestly, really what it comes down to is that I think the answer is that the only number that really matters is that it's literally slower than walking. So the answer is it wouldn't work. But if you did try to do it, it would be slow as hell. You could watch Borat, and whoever you were watching Borat next to would, oh my god, hate you for watching Borat next to them for 84 minutes on the subway.
Yeah, not a romantic movie.
Not particularly.
There are probably plenty of romantic comedies that are also that length, but you chose Borat.
Yeah, that was just the first one I found. I literally Googled movies that are 84 minutes long, and that's the first one that came up.
It's a very good one.
Yeah.
You could speed up the water, maybe. That could be a solution.
I thought you were going to say you could speed up other movies. You can watch any movie.
If you got a longer movie, just watch it at 1.05 speed.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I got a Valentine's themed Would You Rather question here from our big book of 3,000 Would You Rather questions. Number 2,249. Would you rather burp every time someone kisses you or fart every time someone hugs you?
I would probably fart every time someone hugs me because it's not directly connected to what they're doing to you.
Yeah, so the one, all right, I think that's the answer. The one thing about the farting when someone hugs you is that they're gonna think they made you fart every single time. Like they squeeze a little too hard.
I don't know my own strength.
Right? Like that's the one problem is that
that'll make them feel good about their strength. They'll be like, "Oh,
are there any like you can burp a lot of times in a row? Are there any risks for depressurizing if you fart too many times? Like if you're hugging everybody before you leave like a Christmas party?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry,
that's stupid. Ignore that. Ignore that statement.
I don't know.
Like if you fart too many times, you create a negative pressure in your colon.
All right. So here. So if you, here's a point in favor of the farting is that that's very true. You will like hug people leaving a party and stuff, which means that people will always want you to stay long at parties, which could be a good thing. I sort of talked myself out of it the more I thought about it.
I think you just don't get invited to parties.
That's also possible.
I think the argument for kissing is that people kiss you less often than people hug you. Hugging is way more common than kissing.
Right.
But I still think, like, if you burp every time someone kisses you, that will immediately repulse whoever just kissed you.
All right, so clarifying question, I think I know what the answer has to be. Does it happen right after you release the kiss/hug? Or during?
It's got to be after.
Because it doesn't work like kissing.
During.
You can't burp while kissing someone.
That's a funnier situation, though.
No, the rudeness of filling somebody else's mouth with a burp is no.
Yeah.
No, this is Valentine's Day. We're gonna paint a rosy picture here.
If it's after, that makes it closer.
I think it still has to be farting though, because like how soon after? Because is it like you stop kissing someone and you pull back and just immediately burp as you're
like
still
in their face?
Yeah.
Like how much time do you have to get away from them?
Okay, here's the thing: is it all kissing? Like if you are kissed anywhere, or is it just lip to lip?
Did it specify in the question, or did it just say kiss?
It said when you kiss someone, right?
No, every time someone kisses you.
Oh,
so I think that's anywhere. The way that's worded, I think anywhere. So if they kiss you on the cheek, then you burp.
Okay, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
If it was just lip on lip kissing, I think you could get away with it. I think you could be like, "Hey, we don't do this often because the burping kind of kills the mood," and you can now have normal social interactions with everybody who hugs you.
Right.
Because I feel like I would miss hugs more than I would miss kisses in the long term.
Yeah,
probably.
And I think like a burp and a fart are both equally unsexy in the bedroom.
I agree.
But yeah, if it's just like all the kisses and you burp on wherever the kisses are, or like you can't get around that, it's a problem.
But the burp is always going to be pretty close within the vicinity of their face.
Mm-hmm. That's the big problem with the burp.
Yeah. It's always going to be close to their face. The fart is...
It depends where they're kissing you.
It's true.
That's true. But, like, you can't, like, what if you, like, go to Europe and everyone does the European, face kiss? That's just awkward.
Yeah, I mean, the fart is less intrusive, like, because you can get like some silent-ish farts, like a more silent fart, you get away with it. You don't get away with any burps, and the kissing problem just ruins intimacy so much harder than the fart, because you can avoid a quote-unquote hug. You cannot avoid kissing at all.
Yeah, you can transition to awkward high fives and stuff. You can, like,
handshake.
There's a lot of ways you can get around it,
Plus, I don't count like a grope as like a hug. So like, you can do some stuff.
So you can
like,
let people grope you.
Yeah, you can let people grope you, but if you can't let people kiss you, that's just like no fun.
So it feels like we're in agreement.
Yeah.
We're actually that was actually a pretty quick one.
Straightforward.
We hit the correct solution. Speaking of the correct solutions, the correct solution for what to do next after listening to this wonderful episode that just filled your ears with hours of entertainment. And by hours, I mean like 1 hour probably on this one.
1.1 hours. You have to put the S.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to tell because Chris edits it down a little bit. Anyhow, for hour-ish of content that we just produced you, if you would like to support us, the correct thing to do is to go to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/absurdhypotheticals and click on that Become a Patron button. We have one tier, it's $1, and once a month, you get one behind-the-scenes episode. That's a lot of ones. They're all good ones. So go do that. It is the correct thing to do. You will be handsomely rewarded with our wonderful thanks. But if you elect not to do that because you're making incorrect actions, the next best thing you can do is to tune in next week where we go through our lightning round. Woo!
I feel like every time someone says lightning round, someone else feels obligated to make a noise after.
Yeah, it really does happen.
Yeah, I literally was going to not do the lightning round noises, and then I was just like, I gotta do something. I can't stop myself.